and welcome to a new vlog. I am changing things up a little bit. I have an official intro because I have been feeling like I'm in a little bit of a reading slump, or I'm headed towards there. And so I thought I would change things up by having somebody else, aka my boyfriend here, Coda, to help me pick out my TBR for the week. And I've asked him to pick out 3 to 4 books, and this is how it went. Okay, sir. Please help pick out my TBR. I just told him which books are sequels and stuff like that, which books might be a little bit harder for me to talk about in a vlog. You can look at covers, only covers. You can read the synopsis if you want to, but I'm leaving it all up to you. That's the author of Normal People. He ended up picking out 5 books for me, so we're gonna go through them and your reasoning as to why you chose them. Book number 1 was Out by Natsuo Kirino.
It's based in Japan. It's gonna be a common pattern, but I like thrillers and creepy vibe stuff. Okay. And the fact that you've had it for a while.
Yeah, this was my dad's copy that someone gifted him. Someone ended up re-gifting this book, I believe, to him. He ended up picking my October book of the month pick, which is The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. I did tell him that the premise of this reminded me of
Ready or Not.
Yes, the movie.
And I enjoyed that movie.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is Free Food for Millionaires by Min-Jin Lee. I'm like glad you picked this.
Yeah, the fact that it's based on an Asian girl in New York, it's, fitting.
Next is my May pick, Breathless by Amy McCullough, from Book of the Month. I had actually been holding off on reading this because it is giving off winter vibes. But even though it's still fall, it is getting a little bit colder, so maybe it will still be a good time to read it.
The fact that it's based on a mountain and that there's a killer there, which seems a little crazy, but...
risk seems high. The last book is a library book and a nonfiction one, which is The Good Nurse, A True Story of Medicine, Madness, and Murder by Charles Graeber. This is based off of a true story. Obviously, it's nonfiction. The movie starring Eddie Redmayne and Jessica Chastain is now out on Netflix, and that is one I wanted to see. I think it should be gripping. I really enjoy true crime, which is why I picked this one.
Same.
Really?
Yeah.
True crime?
True crime, and then, the cover did it too.
He did end up picking 5 books, so I can't say that I will read all of them. However, I will ask, do you have an order in which you would like me to read them, or order of interest for you?
Well, the fact that it's a true story, I'll take it out.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't have to be in book form, to be honest. If it's Ready or Not, then it's not the most mind-blowing. The Mountain, it's okay, but it's not the craziest.
Pick one of these first.
This is probably going to be more fun, where this is more
serious.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start off with one of these 2 books, and then third will be Breathless, and then The Family Game, and lastly The Good Nurse. I will hopefully eventually get to all of these, probably prioritize the library book a little bit more, if not in this vlog, but I guess then we can head into the vlog portion. Hello, first vlog clip. I just put in my contacts so my eyes are adjusting. Ooh. Anyway, so I started with Free Food for Millionaires, like Coda wanted me to choose as the first book, and I'm not very far into it. I'm 140 pages into it, and it's good so far. It's a little cray-cray, my battery's dying. It is definitely a contemporary, but it leans a little bit more literary because there's not a lot of plot. But for some reason, Min-Jin Lee's writing style just really works for me, and it's all kind of fucked up, just a little bit fucked up for me to remain interested in it because there's nothing really going on. But if you don't know what this is about, Casey is a daughter of Korean immigrants. She grew up kind of on the poor side, but she went to Princeton for college, made friends with a lot of rich people. She has a white boyfriend her parents don't know about but would definitely disapprove of. She wants to create this space for herself and come out into this glittering world that her rich friends are a part of, but somehow isn't really finding that space, and it's kind of, I guess, about her getting there. I have heard some friends say that they preferred this book to Pachinko, so I'm pretty excited for this one. Hopefully I can read a bunch of this today. I wanted to start vlogging a little bit earlier, and I also wanted to go early vote today, but my hair ended up taking way too long to air dry. Our dryer's also broken, so I had to go out to the laundromat. Anyway, I will go tomorrow, hopefully, or just go on Tuesday before work. I wanted to do a little check-in. This vlog's kind of weird because it's not exactly like a week-long one, because this book is taking me a little bit really long. It's taking me too long. I'm not even halfway through it at this point, but I am reading another book. I am reading right now because I want to dedicate a little bit more time to reading this before I'm like away for the weekend again. There are a bunch of characters being introduced, but I kind of like that Min Jin Lee includes a little backstory about them within a few paragraphs so that the reader knows why this person's important. Typically that would be too busy for me, but it kind of just works with the writing style that she has and the way that she's telling this story. I might have a difficult time talking about this also because I don't have any like clear thoughts. There's not a lot happening like I said in the last clip, but I want to at least get to 50% today. Let me actually just see how far along I am. Okay, I'm 35% of the way through, which also isn't that great, but hopefully I can fit in a bunch of reading today and tomorrow because this weekend, classic me doesn't get any reading done. Hi, so my one clip that didn't upload was actually my review of Min Jin Lee's Free Food for Millionaires when I finally finished it. I gave it 3.5 stars because I really enjoy Min Jin Lee's writing style, but I gave Pachinko I think 4 and I enjoyed that way more. Free Food for Millionaires just seemed like too much of a reality to me. The idea of finding yourself in your 20s, figuring out your life, your career, relationships, and money. She's in a lot of debt and it just seemed like too much of a real thing to me, whereas Pachinko seemed like this entirely different world that I could never have imagined in my own world. I felt like Casey could definitely be my friend going through the same thing, and so it wasn't enough of an escape for me, but I did enjoy it, so I gave it 3.5 stars. I just realized I might possibly have left on my camera for over 24 hours and somehow the battery's fine. Anyway, hello. I'm doing laundry and I just showered, but I have to go to the laundromat because the fucking dryer technician last minute canceled on us yesterday, didn't even show up or contact us today, so the dryer is still not fixed. But yesterday I started The Good Nurse. I only read like 20 pages of it because somebody kept peeking at my book next to me and asking me about books and they thought I was a librarian. Like, just because I read books, first of all, and enjoy talking about them does not mean that I am a librarian or a bookseller. I should have like enacted the My Favorite Murder mindset of fuck politeness because they asked for my numbers to talk about books and I said yes, even though I should have just referred them to my Instagram or my booktube. Didn't love that. I'm gonna sit here to finish while the laundry is going on its last rinse. Even though I'm only 20 pages in, I obviously don't have final thoughts, but it is creepy. I don't love that the endnotes are like all the way at the back and I keep having to flip to the back of the book for each chapter. It doesn't really provide any context, like anything that I might have missed. It's just extra information that's being added in there. So I don't actually have to flip back to it, but I think that, you know, since the author wrote it, I think it might be nice. I don't pay attention to all of them because sometimes it's just like shit I didn't feel like needed to be in there. So far, Charlie has not killed anybody, but it is flipping back and forth between the timeline to provide context while also showing Charlie within his career. This is about an angel of death nurse named Charles Cullen who murdered his patients, I think via insulin in their IVs. He also has many siblings and I think it's hilarious that one of them is named Edward, making him his name Edward Cullen. Coda is also interested in seeing the movie as well, so kind of fitting that he ended up picking this. So Coda will be coming here. We won't be staying at the East Village apartment for the next week, and he asked me to make some apple pies. He loves apple pie a la mode, understandably. It's perfect because we have Honey Crisps, and I think instead of a single apple pie, I'm gonna make the little apple pie crescents that I made, I think last year or 2 years ago. I definitely in quarantine. They're really good and they're individual little pies, so they're easy to consume. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I still need to buy sour cream. It's almost 12:40, but I'm kind of in the mood to bake cookies because I was going to do that tomorrow. I'm planning on throwing on a podcast and doing that. I was sitting here reading Uzumaki for my other vlog. I thought my scoops were small enough, but clearly it wasn't. I'm gonna get started on baking my apple pie crescents. I'm gonna continue listening to my podcast, Sport Junkie, episode 59. Hi, I just made lunch. I read like 3 chapters of The Good Nurse as well. I made gyerambap, which I saw Michelle Choi make in one of her vlogs, and I was really interested in trying it. It's just a fried egg over buttered rice with soy sauce, sesame oil, sesame seeds, and then I added Polish smoked sausage, kielbasa, because lovely. And then you're supposed to just mix it all together and eat it. Really simple, but sounds really good. I'm hoping to finish up The Good Nurse today. This is definitely not accurate because there's a bunch of endnotes. Oh my god, I could totally finish this before I need to leave for work. Apollo's here again for a week, and I took him out this morning and it's fucking freezing. Saturday was like really gorgeous weather. Sunday was kind of back into fall weather. It's been really warm, but I took him out on the walk and it was 37 degrees, which is 3 Celsius. But anyway, with The Good Nurse, it's finally like starting to get really interesting with like the investigative parts. Someone close to Charlie is helping the police and they're trying to get him to confess. We obviously know he's guilty, so that's not really a spoiler. I'm really actually excited to see the film as well. Yesterday I finished The Good Nurse, the last 40-ish pages, and I quickly returned it to the library because she was a week overdue. I'm not reading this because it's nonfiction, and I typically don't. I just wish that this book kind of was a little bit more suspenseful, which sounds a little ridiculous because it's nonfiction and we already know this man's guilty. It was kind of like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. The author only interviewed Charlie himself, and he looked at police records and obviously did a lot of his own research, but I wish that there were more interviews from other people, other nurses, maybe some of the victims' families, to get a more well-rounded story. But I can finally tell Coda I'm up for seeing the movie. And yesterday I started Out by Natsuo Kirino. My issue with it is that it is translated, and I don't do very well with translated books. And yes, this book is Japanese, which I can read, but I just happen to have this copy. I always find that translated editions feel very choppy, and the original beauty of the language is never captured. And there are a lot of differences, obviously, between English and Japanese. I'm like, that can't possibly be what it is. I'm sure the translator is doing the best that they can to their ability, but I just don't feel that it is being fully conveyed. Now, I have read 73 pages of this so far, but I am low-key like okay if I have to DNF it. But this book is about some housewives who take part-time jobs at a factory making boxed lunches, and one day a young mother kills her husband who was abusing her and has her co-workers cover up the crime, and then it's supposed to somehow also involve the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia, so I don't really know where the mystery is supposed to come into play. I don't have the highest hopes for this one. I would like to read as much as possible. It's Wednesday night. Didn't even wash my face today. Splashed it with water. I left the house one time with Coda to go to the train station before work because I knew that was the only time I was going to leave my house. Otherwise, I've been in my pajamas all day. I just started to get to reading because we're waiting for my sister to come home from work to watch Bake Off. We're like 2 episodes behind, and we have not even seen the semifinals. I think I'm DNFing this because I'm over 100 pages and it's like so stiff and choppy. I also like don't really see a plot happening. A lot of people being introduced and I have no idea why they're important. Like somebody came out to possibly molest or harass one of the housewives and I don't know why this person is important. They have not been mentioned again. The loan shark's being mentioned and I don't see how that's coming up. His like middle school friend is coming up. I just feel like I'm reading it to read it and I don't want to waste any more time. So sadly, I'm ending this vlog with a DNF. I gave it Free Food for Millionaires 3.5 stars, and The Good Nurse was no rating because it's nonfiction, and unfortunately, Out is going to be out of my life for now. Although the genre is definitely something that Coda got right, I'm interested in the other books, especially Breathless, because now it's getting a lot colder in New York. And then I can start fresh with a new vlog tomorrow that hopefully will just be the weekly vlog pattern. I'll have it 2 books to read, and then since Coda's here again, I might possibly have him pick another book from my library stack. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this vlog, and I will see you next time, possibly next week, for part 2. Please look forward to it and I'll see you next time. Bye.